Hello all, I hope you're doing well today. I was minding my own business yesterday surfing on YouTube and I came across this advert for JP Morgan, and it struck me as I thought this really is the wet dream of the globalists put into media form. Now, as you can see, it features lots of minorities in what looks like modern Britain, and as I've said many times on the channel, to really understand globalism we must see that it really is the globalist overlords, the captains of capital, that have pushed mass immigration. We've all heard our leftist friends say before that the billionaires blame the migrants that come here while they skim off the top. In reality, of course, it seems that the billionaire class, the captains of capital, want to push mass immigration because it undermines wages and, of course, stops the power of a nation to push back against the dominance of global capital. Things aren't much better on the flip side either, even though the types like Robert Jenrick or Nigel Farage may call out mass immigration. Deep down, they're still going to feed back into the globalist structure by their total faith in the market. But I thought what was most interesting about this advert from JP Morgan is how it ends with the phrase, "People grow the economy, and growing the economy is our business." And this really gives away the ethos of our overlords. Everything is rooted around growth. We must always seek more growth. Line go up politics. Grow, 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 grow. More people into the West to maintain the systems and more consumers to spend money. We need the economic growth. However, I'm sure as you may have noticed when taking a walk in nature, that things can't grow forever. Yes, there might be tall, beautiful trees around you, but next to them perhaps a fallen trunk of a wise old tree that's now decaying back into the earth from whence it came. It seems that we're now out of balance with these natural structures of growth and death and rebirth. I remember at university watching a movie called Koyaanisqatsi. It's a Native American phrase which means life out of balance or life out of sync. And while our liberal friends often say, the mass immigration, it's all emblematic of natural change that goes on in human societies, the counter to that has been, well, is this change really natural, or is it manipulated? Is it fake? Has it been forced? I would say we've been locked in a process of artificial growth for a long, long time. As we go further and further into the uncertain undergrowth, eventually we're going to get caught out. But at the moment we can see that this artificial growth is leading to all sorts of fractures among the basis of society. The people that feel these fractures the most are those that are on the front line of the effects of globalization, namely the working classes. I think this explains at least an element of the flag protests at the moment. People across Europe, across the Western world, do feel like they're losing their roots at this time, because they are. Yet the cracks are spreading even more now as we see different factions in society forming. The winners of globalisation, namely the trendy London liberal, quote, socialists, like to look down on the working classes. I reported on this yesterday, but here's another fella. He states, I like this new idea of signposting, that's the England flags, the average IQ in each postcode. Again, just as I said before, this fella is supposed to be a tolerant and kind leftist who sympathises with the downtrodden. Unless they're the indigenous working class, then all of a sudden all of the sacred cows of the left go away. You can mock them for being fat, you can mock them for being stupid, you can even reference IQ. In other conversations, of course, referencing that is racist. But as I've explored many times on the channel, these people view it as a morally righteous duty to look down on the indigenous working classes. That's namely because they're patriotic, and patriotic, it tends to be more right-wing. Right-wing is close to fascist, and remember, in our post-religious age, fascism forms the sort of satanic figure of the era. This means you'll be seen as a hero for being crude and nasty towards such people. You can even call for their throats to be slit and get away with it scot-free. Remember, in Ricky Jones's defence, he stated that he'd been racially abused in the past. He also said he'd suffered from neurodivergent issues. These are all buzzwords signalling to the liberal mainstream that he's a good person, so no matter what he's done, he really is on the right side of history. We can also see examples of this from other countries in the West. Here's a video featuring a Sikh rapper in Canada just beating up white guys. I assume the context is, they're telling him to go home, back to India or whatever. He has "Home is Canada" on his jacket and, beats them up for being far-right racists. Of course, if it was flipped, this video would be banned, the people who produced it would be arrested. But remember, these people are moral. They're on the right side of history. Now, as I have to say in every video, I'm not promoting any form of violence. Don't go out and do anything stupid. But it does seem to me that the globalist liberal mainstream across the Western world is prodding the indigenous working classes with a stick repeatedly when they're already wound up, and when they finally blow they say, "Oh, what are you getting violent for?" I mean, on a continual basis, the behaviour of the globalist liberal mainstream is appalling. Here's an example recently. This is a Jocene Catar Moreira. She's a black woman from Portugal who came to Brussels to lecture the Europeans on, well, what a European is.
Europe, it's not white. Europe, it's not a white man also.
Look at that white guy clapping along.
There is no democracy in Europe without ethnic minorities.
What? And why not? What makes immigrants so special that they make democracy possible? And why are they clapping along with this?
And there is no democracy in Europe without black women in stages like that. Thank you. And also, there is no democracy without equity and equality, of course. But also, there is no equality without the voices of ethnic minorities in Europe. And here, I don't see a lot of them here.
Yeah, you disgusting bigots. How dare you be white in a European country? What's the matter with you?
So I don't know if my Europe is yours.
Yeah, I don't know either, lady. Seems like we have quite a different view of things there. Anyway, she does rabbit on for another 10 minutes or so, and she does, I think, have some speech impediment. We're not going to be nasty about that. Despite her clearly trying to debase Europe, there's no need to be mean. But anyway, as you might imagine, she ends in a big crescendo, so let's see what she's got to say.
It's very important to understand that equality, it's not enough. We need social justice in Europe. Thank you.
What does that even mean? I mean, we've already tried this equality experiment and it's been an absolute disaster. I mean, trying to segue in all these cultures from around the world and make them tantamount to the European tradition. I mean, this has led the West to completely lose its way. It's been debased, it's been humiliated, it's getting chaotic, it's lost. But as always, it's never enough. We have to give more and be more ashamed and be more welcoming to different cultures from around the world, to be more accepting of mass immigration. All the time, well, the equivalent of this is like someone like me going to Asia and saying, hey, Asian people, listen up, yeah? This isn't really Asia without a white man. All right, that's what your real political system is about, me, okay? And if I'm not here and you're not welcoming me, then you're not a real place. Now, I know I would catch absolute hell from the liberal types for saying this, but I do believe Europe and the Western world, broadly speaking, is one of the best places to be. We have a sense of justice and fair play. That's why all these people want to come here in the first place. But the point is, at what point do we as a Western people say, look, this has gone on far enough now. These people aren't victims anymore. It's us that are getting deracinated and debased. At what time do we say that that moral structure has shifted? At what point do we realise that you can't be all things to all men? That people in this world have their own interests, their own traditions that they would like to see reign supreme. At the moment we ignore that because we're trapped in the JP Morgan liberal fantasy. But we're seeing these splits occur all over the place in the Western world now. The flags are an example of that. But also seeing Muslim gangs starting to walk down the street in order to, quote, protect their communities from the, quote, far right. On your screen now is a large group of Muslims going down to Canary Wharf to confront the, quote, far-right protesters. Now, of course, the system will be on these Muslim guys' side. They'll see them as diverse equals good and moral. You know, the protesters are patriotic, they've got England flags, ergo that's far-right and evil. But how long can we maintain the delusion that these Muslim lads really believe in the liberal project? I mean, first of all, why should they believe in it? They've got their own religion. And it's not going to take long before that illusion is completely shattered, as it's already being in different parts of the West. Here's a recent clip from Canada where a pride parade was shut down by Muslims. Now, of course, Muslims probably rank a bit higher in the victimology hierarchy that the modern liberal world has, number one. But number two, it goes to show that Muslims, like many groups, will only use intersectionality so far as it serves their cause of pushing Islamic issues. Now, I don't think Muslims do this because they're uniquely bad. I think every group jostles for power and wants to implement its own group interests. 'Twas ever thus, really. The point is how stupid we are to think that this was never going to happen. Of course it was going to happen. We somehow think that it won't because we've got pride marches and Tony Blair and DEI programs. It seems to me that our globalist overlords have constructed a scenario where things are ready to blow in the Western world, and when they do, it's the perfect precursor for them to hammer down with censorship and all manner of tyrannical dictates to control the public. Remember, they prefer it if you're comatose, fat, lazy and stupid, watching Love Island, Match of the Day and eating pizzas and burgers all day. I saw this in the New York Times recently. Robert F. Kennedy and Pete Hegseth, both high up in the US government, have been promoting that men should try and do 100 push-ups and 50 pull-ups in under 10 minutes. A good aim. However, they're pouring scorn on this, saying, quote, fitness experts are cautioning against it. And it's this nannying of Western man which drives me mad in this day and age. It goes without saying, if someone's got an injury, or they're old, or they're not in shape and have never worked out, maybe don't go for it straight away. Build up to it. People can take that as read. But for the average bloke, I think this is a very good aim. It's like being able to run 4 miles in a decent time. It shows a decent level of fitness. It's very good for you mentally, it's very good for you physically, and I think it's great that Western governments take an interest in the health of their men. But the reason the powers that be don't like it is it can promote things like self-defense and capacity. We're supposed to be good little drones, remember, in JP Morgan land. Think about growing the economy and do what the government says. And if you want some entertainment, we'd all be glad to know that Meghan's back on the TV. She's revealed who said I love you first out of her and Harry. Oh, I'm sure we'll all be glued to the screen to find that one out, as well as the other little bits of goss from Megs and Harry. Can't wait for that. But seriously, why are the BBC reporting on this crap? Actually, I think we know why. Anyway, the point is, the powers that be are creating an absolute hellish situation. It's hard to see how this is going to hold for the long run. As always, do let me know what you think down below. You can join the sister channel, The Sacred Way, if you're interested in personal spiritual transformation. Other than that, do subscribe to this channel if you're new.